Welcome to Lynn Cullen Live. Talk radio without the static. Email your questions and comments to lynncullenshow@gmail.com. And now your host, Lynn Cullen.
Oh, yeah. Here I am. Good God. January 5, 2023, and the hits just keep on coming. For those of you who haven't heard, City Paper has been sold. And often when these kinds of things happen, you don't, if you're working at the place, you don't know the people who bought you and your labor. But this time we do, because the people who bought us are the Black family. The guys who own the Pittsburgh Post. Is it? Now, I'm not quite sure. I mean, here's the reality. Since I have worked in conjunction with the City Paper, I am technically not an employee, just so as you know. I am not. But since I have been affiliated with the Pittsburgh City Paper, this is the third ownership change. And generally speaking, I would say that the staff just keeps plugging along, doing its job. But the people who hold positions that have to interact with ownership have reported problems with attempt to control content. That happened 2 owners ago under editor Charlie Deach, and it happened relatively recently with editor Lisa Cunningham. I don't think editor is her right. Yeah, editor is her right. Who resigned over the attempt by the folks who just sold us to the Blacks, Butler Eagle, a fine publication that. Butler Eagle's attempt to interfere with coverage of, guess what? The strike at the Black-owned Pittsburgh Post-Gazette. Now, what's interesting about this is it's pretty obvious, I think, that the pressure that was put on Lisa, which resulted in a screaming match and from the head of the Butler Eagle, to which Lisa quit, being disrespected as she was by him, and is much missed. But now we know that the effort to put the squeeze on Lisa was happening while our owners, the Butler Eagle, were obviously talking to the Black family about purchasing us. We'll never know. Lisa is quoted in a article from WESA 90.5, the NPR station here. She was spoken to yesterday when they did this story. And she says, obviously, the Butler Eagle wanted the story covered up, the story being that they were printing the Post-Gazette during the strike. And they did not want her putting this out there. And she says, I don't know if it was to protect the Butler Eagle or to protect the sale. Everything is speculation, but it can't be a coincidence. I would suspect the same. At any rate, guys, we don't know. I don't know what this means for the paper, City Paper, and its independence. I don't know what it means for me. I find it interesting, to say the least, that the blacks thought it would be a good idea to scoop us up. And I have to say, it's not like City Paper is like hey, let's scoop up that alternative weekly. Man, could we make lots of money on them? Because alternative weeklies are dying all over the place. We're one of the oldest weeklies standing in the country. So why would they want to buy us? I'm just asking. The WESA article, by the way, I should give credit to Oliver Morrison, who wrote it, also notes that it is City Paper that, I'll quote him, City Paper has been one of the most active publications in the city covering the ongoing Post-Gazette labor strike. Now, that fact, and it is a fact, because who else is writing about it? The Tribune Review, I suppose. Public Source, maybe some of the more independent nonprofit folks that are stepping up. Maybe is it conceivable that even the local television has done some coverage? But our coverage has been biting. And interesting that, all of a sudden, whoa, we're working for the same people who our good friends who are out on strike are striking against. And unhappily, by the way, I saw someone, I don't know that she still works at the Post-Gazette. She did, but opining, I'm not going to name her, opining on Twitter yesterday, whether this meant that local politicians who were refusing to speak, this would be the mayor, among others, Fetterman, more on him later, by the way, refusing to speak to reporters, scab reporters at the Post-Gazette. Why did I lose my train of thought? So she was suggesting that maybe the mayor and Fetterman should now not speak to reporters from City Paper. What? We're still, the folks at City Paper are still on the side of the strikers. And for the strikers to argue, and this is not, I don't think she is one, but she's an ally of theirs, that's got to get nipped in the bud. By the way, the people at the folks at the paper were told about this just yesterday afternoon, and at the same time that the blocks put out the press release that they were finalizing the sale. And I was informed soon thereafter by my producer, Kevin Shepard. So Kevin has been through 4 different ownerships. He got me beat. Been there a long time. And they all come in saying the same thing. We value the independence of it. Well, here's what Block said. I have a quote from him, don't I? Somewhere. That they value, we believe, this is from Alan Block. Is he the one that there's a video of on social media hitting a bag of, he had a bag of fast food in his hand, and he's like sort of slapping I think one of the strikers with it who was trying to question him. I think that's the guy. So he said yesterday, we believe in the need for independent journalism and are happy to further our commitment to the city of Pittsburgh and specifically to support this well-established entertainment and alternative news publication. The guy who sold us is quoted as saying, we learned over time that City Paper wasn't a good fit for our business. And trying to manage a Pittsburgh publication from a distance just wasn't working. Now, that's the funniest quote I have ever heard. First of all, I would like to say to the folks at the Butler Eagle, you learned that it wasn't a good fit. Believe me, on the other side, the staff knew it wasn't a good fit from day one. Jeez. But can you imagine him saying, trying to manage a Pittsburgh publication from a distance? He's in Butler. This is 2023. He could be in Sevastopol, Vladivostok. I don't know. You could still manage. I mean, there's technology that allows you to communicate immediately in real time. What the hell does that even mean? Trying to manage a Pittsburgh publication from a distance. Does it mean he wasn't physically there so he could like glower at Lisa and others? So, oh God. Well, thus, listen, being a cog in the machinery of corporate America, you get sold. You go to bed working for one master and you wake up working for another. This is just the way things go. And how it shakes out, we'll have to see. But I know the staff, I know me, and none of us are going to change our tunes. And so we'll see if Alan Block is being sincere when he says we believe in the need for independent journalism. Because God knows he doesn't necessarily believe in paying the people who actually produce the independent journalism sufficiently. He's got the money to buy us, to give adequate health care benefits to his employees at the Post-Gazette. I can't find that money. So that's it. That's as much as I know. I believe on Friday they're coming in to meet the staff. I think I don't know if I'm gonna. I think I'll skip. I never met the last people. Anyway, that's it. And just to make clear, one other thing which I have not made clear is that technically we are not owned by the same entity that owns the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette. We are owned by a subsidiary company of the Block family, Block Communications, called Cars Holding. And they're the ones who bought the paper. And Block Communications, I believe, directly owns Pittsburgh Pittsburgh Post-Gazette. God. But here's another thing that isn't good. Susan the other day, and I think the day before, I brought up monopolization in this country and how it stifles competition, it stifles quality, it stifles everything, but makes lots of money for a few people. And the fact that the Block family now owns not only the major daily in the city of Pittsburgh, but now owns its alternative weekly newspaper means that they own a big chunk of print media in one family owns. So I don't know. We'll see how it shakes out. I didn't like working for the last folks at all. Not that in any way they interfered with me. I don't even think they knew I existed. If any of the higher ups at the Butler Eagle ever tuned in, it would be a shock to me. So I flew under the radar, I think. I'm not so sure that will be the case now with the new ownership, but who the hell knows? So there's that. And as I said, the hits just keep on coming. So, wow, did you, I got to move on, unless any of you have anything you want to say about this. I got a few emails yesterday from people saying, "Oh no! Oh my God! What is it?" I don't know. None of us know how this will shake out. Don't know. I don't know. I don't think I mentioned they have pledged to retain the staff, which is so skeletal now. There's no way. I mean, if any, retain it. You got to add to it. It's amazing how few people, few extraordinarily hardworking people manage to put that weekly out there. Amazing. So anyway, there's that. I've said that a few times, attempting to move on and then drop right back into it. Sorry. Oh, God. So, did you watch? Okay, so this is now two, at least I knew this time to just have it on in the background. The attempt of Republicans to actually elect a Speaker of the House. Wow. And then they moved it into prime time. And just in case the primetime audience didn't have an opportunity to see what happens when you allow people who do not believe in governance to attempt to govern. And I was calling it a clown car yesterday. That really doesn't even, clowns are professionals. I don't think, seriously, I am thinking that. To be a clown requires an amazing amount of skills, practice, physicality that is often difficult. creativity. Yeah. And so to call these idiots, these just fools on the Republican side of the U.S. Congress, clowns is really, again, you often hear that. Well, that's not fair to clowns, or to call them that's not fair to 3-year-olds. It is true. It's not. I mean, I think that what we have to do is, when somebody is totally incompetent, so incompetent that in fact are dangerous, that the term that should be employed is my God, they're acting like Republicans. That's what the term Republican should come to mean. It certainly has come to mean it in my mind. We just need a few 100 million other Americans to understand. And I swear the Republicans are helping in that effort to understand that they are incapable of governance. And so to vote for them to govern is stupid. It's a stupid vote. It's like choosing somebody to pick a job that doesn't know how to do it or doesn't even believe in it. Why would you do that if you weren't up to some mischief, like attempting to just tear it all down? And as I said yesterday, that's easy. Destruction's easy. But not having an alternative, and they don't. Not having an alternative, that ain't easy. I mean, that ain't whatever. I don't know. God, dang it. So it is fascinating to watch this in real time. It really is. It's unsettling, but it's fascinating. And I really couldn't tear myself away yesterday. Again, when Republicans stood up to talk about why you should elect so-and-so, and everybody they put forward is unelectable, apparently. I don't understand, and I said this yesterday, I don't understand their view of America. They talk about America like it's a fascist state. And here I am looking at them and thinking, we got to keep an eye on these guys, because if they get in control, they'll create a fascist state. And yet they think they're already in one. Another sign that they don't have a clue. And so we're finding out that all kinds of things, all kinds of things literally cannot occur. I mean, there is no House of Representatives, actually, right now. The first order of business, anytime they all get together to start a new session, is to elect a speaker. Well, you know this, I'm sure, by now. And after they elect a speaker, then they swear in the members. So technically, all those people that are voting there over and over and over and over and over again are really not members yet. So without a speaker, the House of Representatives it's a non-entity. Because technically there are no members of Congress right now, I mean, of the House. There are none, because none have been sworn in. And you can say, so what? Well, the reality is a lot of these guys are supposed to be kept, ones that have been there for a while, are supposed to sit on committees where they're supposed to be, and there are no committees, by the way, have to be, the White House and intelligence agencies would keep them informed of things that they need to be informed. And now they cannot be informed because they're not members of Congress. They've all lost their security clearances. The legislative branch of our government, you famously learn, there are 3 branches. Well, there aren't right now. There are 2. And there's a 3rd, which has crippled itself and is incapable of doing its job. And I can't believe I keep hearing that I guess McCarthy's just going to keep on keeping on. And this shows Republicans literally cannot, they can't even, I'm speechless. I really am speechless. And they're saying, well, we have such a razor thin, so any, a small group can stymie things. Well, here's a reminder to anybody watching this chaos. Nancy Pelosi and the Democrats had a razor thin majority. Mm-hmm. It didn't, and not only that, had a very active group of more radical Democrats, the Squad and others, right? So there are no excuses. No excuses. The reality is Nancy Pelosi and the Democrats are serious people. They understand the structure of governance and they ran to be part of it. There are way too many people on the other side of the aisle that not only don't believe in it, that they ran to do exactly what you're seeing now, to be chaos agents, to get on TV all the time, to be celebrities, to have people write books about them. And that's something that Donald Trump helped really. There were such people before Trump, but he showed how. He took another branch of government over when he was totally uninterested in the job, unqualified for the job. But he saw opportunity for himself. And so you've got a lot of these types now on the Republican side. And as you see, what McCarthy's doing is he's given away the store to him, trying to get a vote. And you got the thing about this McCarthy guy is, oh my God, there are so many empty suits in the Republican Party. I'm sure there's some in the Democratic Party too, but my God, does he stand for anything except his own lust for power? It's unbelievable. This is, watching this play out, that it's clear he doesn't have the votes. You need what, 218? He doesn't have them. They always say about Nancy Pelosi, boy, she knows how to count votes. Kevin McCarthy can't count. and that he is allowing this by virtue of his lust for this office. There's everything you need to know about him. And if, of course, he were, let's say he pulls a rabbit out of the hat, and he does become speaker. Well, what we're seeing now will be what happens with every bill and thing that this House of Representatives under Republican rule will attempt to do. Nothing is going to get done. And this is causing real concern because obviously there are some things that have to be done. You hear debt limit increase, this, that, and the other thing, budgetary stuff. These guys won't be able to pass anything. So I think the chaos we're seeing now, get ready for 2 more years. Wow. And when will the people who vote for this realize what they're doing? God almighty. Excuse me, Oh, and there was some awful woman. Who was that awful woman? Who, on, I don't know, vote number 5 or 6, stood up and what did she say? She was nominating. Every time they do a new vote, you have to nominate the idiot again, McCarthy. And she was nominating him. And all she was doing was just ragging on Democrats. I mean, she wasn't saying why you want McCarthy. And she actually said, oh, here's her name. Kat. Yeah, that's a good name for her. Kat Kamek from the lunatic asylum known as Florida. So she was nominating McCarthy on the 6th ballot. And at one point, here's what she said. The Democrats want us to fight each other. That much has been made clear by the popcorn and blankets and alcohol on the Democratic side. And the minute she said that, you heard like all hell broke loose. And the Democrats went berserk. And then she laughingly said, the House is not in order. She accused the Democrats of drinking and eating popcorn, which of course is not true. This is just beyond belief. And I have to tell you something. As somebody pointed out, you know, what you're seeing with this crowd is January 6th, episode 2. They might have cleared the rioters and the killers and the cop beaters out of the Capitol building. But the insurrection, the attempt to bring down the government through nefarious means continues. And this crowd, like the Freedom Caucus, the ones that are holding, McCarthy hostage, I was thinking of someone who would be so happy with what they were doing. Happy like he would have been on January 6th. And that, of course, is Vladimir Putin. Because one thing Russia really wants is to show that democracy doesn't function. And that's what a lot of these Republicans want. Sow discord, sow division, create chaos. This is nothing that America needs, but Russia loves this. This is January 6th, episode 2. going on. This is Republicans, the current Republican Party. This is its offspring. We have a caller? Go ahead. Hello.
Good morning, Lynn.
Hi. Hi.
Hi. I heard McCarthy the other day was whining about like he earned this, he deserved this, blah blah blah, and he sounds like an entitled little brat.
Yeah.
And and they like to use that term entitled all the time. Maybe we can assign the term McCarthy, reassign the term McCarthyism, the spoiled brats, and and the Democrats should be jumping all over this shit.
Well, you know what else? Think of how he's willing to humiliate himself. I mean, his lust for power is so intense that he's willing to continue to humiliate himself and show that he has no balls, none, just lust for office.
Just think, just a couple of years ago, 2 years ago, tomorrow, he was the guy who was crying to the president about getting troops in there because they're about to get strung up by all these rioters.
That's right. That's right.
It's just like, and then somehow he backtracked on that, and
he did, because he realized that his idea of the only way he was going to get the speakership is he better go down and repair. So he went down and kissed Trump's ass, and and every move he's made hasn't helped him. It's shown him to be the empty suit, the soulless SOB that he is.
Oh, you mean you don't think he has any character?
No character. That would be correct.
Excuse me. So what happens, like, is there any way that the majority of the Republicans will somehow work something out with the Democrats to get somebody in there?
I don't know.
A possibility?
I don't know. You know what I'm done doing? I'm done doing the prediction business. You can't do that with this crowd. We don't know how this is going to play out. My guess is, I said it the other day. Well, the other day I did say I don't think McCarthy's going to be the speaker, and I suspect it'll be. Who the hell knows? I don't know. I don't know. Nobody knows. We have chaos.
I just think that are the Democrats making a fuss about not a fuss, but just like
no, they don't have to
pick it on them. They should like
you don't have to.
These babies. They always talk about. The Republicans are the first one to talk about being a man. I'm a man, blah blah blah, and all this. Well, they're big crybabies, and they and the Democrats should be emasculating them over that. I mean,
I think this is classic. Roger, this is one of those classic situations where if your opponents are shooting at each other and are self-destructing, you just, watch and let them do it. There's nothing Democrats have to do right now except stand back and let the Republicans show themselves for what they are. And yes, they're giving Democrats an awful lot of fodder and fuel to denigrate them later. So
what's happening on Fox? I mean, how are they viewing this?
I've been watching Fox, actually. That's interesting. I thought, geez, what is Fox doing? Fox is I cannot watch Tucker Carlson. I know he's all in for the crazies. But all the others, like I watched Brett Baer last night, and they are full in for McCarthy and very upset about this small group being able to throw. And so that's where they are, except for Tucker Carlson. So
but they're responsible for this. They have.
Yeah. Sorry. They're not happy. I'll tell you that. You can.
Oh, I feel really bad for them.
Oh, I know. They're very. They ain't happy. Yeah, I feel bad for them too.
Poor guys.
So thanks for the call. I got lots of other stuff I want to try to get into.
Okay, good. All right.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Bye.
Bye-bye.
And I pointed out yesterday, and I want to point out again, that one of the things that this crowd, once they finally figure out, who's going to be the speaker, and they get sworn in and start creating chaos of a different sort on a daily basis. One of the things they have been very out front about attempting to do is to subvert the office. There's an Office of Congressional Ethics. And that's a bipartisan or a nonpartisan entity. And they've got their guns pointed at it. Can you imagine one of the things on your list is I'm going after something called the Office of Congressional Ethics? We can't have ethics around here. We can't have somebody watching to see whether or not we're being ethical. Got to starve those babies. So, because, by the way, this entity, the Office of Congressional Ethics, is intending to look into the fact that certain members, Republicans, thumb their noses at subpoenas issued by, McCarthy being one of them, subpoenas issued by a congressional committee, the January 6th committee. And this is the office, of course, that would say this George Santos, he needs to be expelled. But see, they won't be able to do it once the very people who the office would be investigating are the people who, once they figure out if they can agree on a speaker, will try to dismantle the office that could hold them accountable. Just want to make that clear. Also, breaking news, I hope this isn't a problem. The Democratic senator from Michigan, Debbie Stabenow, has said she will not run for re-election in 24. So that's a Democratic Senate seat that is now up for grabs. And in 24, there's a lot of Democratic seats up for grabs. We didn't need this. And it's Michigan, and Michigan has shown itself is pulled away from being, a purple state into what looks now like a blue state, but you don't know. So there's that question mark. I also want to quickly, this is what I'm doing here. I wanted to Charlie Sykes, this guy. He was, I think he was a Milwaukee talk show host. He's a real right-wing Republican. And then Donald Trump came in. And so he was one of these true conservative Republicans who thought Trump was just a nightmare and broke away from all his pals on that account and became one of, the never Trump conservative. Here's what he tweeted this about what he was watching. The House chamber. The MAGA crack up has accelerated as crackpots fought with nihilists, wingnuts pointed fingers at extremists, and grifters started slap fights with one another. And here's a guy who was full in with the Republican Party before. And he's flat out saying, you know what you got there on the Republican side? You got crackpots, nihilists, wingnuts, extremists, and grifters. That pretty much sums it up. And they're all trying to take each other down. They're incapable of governance. Gee. Oh, and here's something that I found interesting. Governor-elect Shapiro, wait a minute, hasn't he been sworn in? When does he take office? He ain't the governor yet? It says here, as governor-elect, and it was written today, so what do I know? Okay, he is, he's announced his first cabinet appointment that he will make, and it's a Republican. And, of course, Josh Shapiro is a Democrat, and it's a good Republican. It's a great pick. It's a guy named Al Schmidt, who was a Republican official in Philadelphia, who ended up on the receiving end of so many death threats by, I suppose, people who vote for Republicans, because he stood up to Trump and his, big lie and election fraud BS. And so Shapiro, our governor to be, says he is putting this Republican, Al Schmidt, in charge as to lead the Pennsylvania Department of State, essentially Secretary of the State Department, which means that is the guy who runs elections. And he took an honorable Republican and put him in charge of elections. And doing so, he said, because this guy's proven himself. He was an integral part of the effort to protect our democracy and stop our votes from being thrown out. He was a city commissioner in Philly for 10 years. I'm remembering, I think, that did he testify before the January 6th committee? I think he may have. So his technical title, I guess, is Secretary of the Commonwealth. But that's the state, Department of State. I don't know. Yeah. And this guy's accepted him, and so that's good. Trump, targeted him. And that targeting created a lot of true threats for him and his family. And he's one of these Republicans who withstood all of that. So I think that's good. Okay, wanted to say that. And now, I said I'd more on Fetterman later. I need to... oh, dear. I think I mentioned in the past that I don't never have people who go berserk over fashion and style. All that stuff just seems like so much bullshit to me. So much, I think of, I don't know. I understand that clothes and things can be, works of art. But other than that, I think of them as utilitarian. I mean, and as we dress, we like to, I'm sure most of us think of, well, I didn't used to think of comfort, but I sure as hell do now. That's number one. Is it comfortable? But yeah, it's something that makes you look good. But, anytime I read the style sections and things about the fashion, I just And I often think, are these people serious? I mean, do they really think any of this matters? Is this, and I have a case in point today, and I'm going to share it with you because in the New York Times today, in the style section, which shows up on Thursdays, there is a picture. I'm looking at it. And the picture is of John Fetterman with his hand up, the other hand on a Bible, held by his wife, Giselle. And the vice president, Kamala Harris, holding the Bible for him. And he's taking his oath of office. And there is this huge article. And let me just read some of it to you. John Fetterman has a new suit. Fetterman was sworn in wearing a relatively tailored, previously unseen, light gray 2-button number. This is a big deal, in part because during his time as lieutenant governor, Mr. Fetterman had made a point of stating that he only had one dark suit. So, this is a scoop. The New York Times style critic, fashion critic, Vanessa Friedman, has uncovered the fact that he now has at least 2 suits, but more on that later. Now, as I read that, I thought, is she writing this so we laugh? I think, right? Are we supposed to be laughing at this and thinking this is so silly? But then later, it becomes like it's not silly at all. She goes on to say, on a day notable for the chaos around the election of Speaker of the House, that suit, Fetterman's suit, as well as the light blue striped tie and polished black lace-ups he wore, may have been the biggest political fashion statement of the incoming class. Now here, she's pivoting to where she ain't kidding about this. She then goes on to say, it was more symbolic even than Nancy Pelosi's bright pink passing of the baton outfit or the smattering of suffragist white worn by some women in the House. And it confirms Mr. Fetterman as one of the more unexpected image makers in Washington. It's not that he dresses particularly well, though the new suit was a step up. It's that he dresses with purpose. Okay, so then the whole rest of the article is about purposeful dressing. Dressing meant to communicate. And, you know, she makes a case that, yeah, that's what Fetterman had. That's one of the skills he clearly has mastered. But when people like her write stuff like this, help me here. Are they serious? I mean, she goes on to say, you know, this communication that comes via clothing is standard for the political toolbox. She talks about the horrific Kirsten Sinema, who she says used her kooky wardrobe of sleeveless tops, colored wigs, and the occasional denim vest to telegraph her independence from political norms. Well, okay, there is that. It makes sense that Sinema, who always looked like she was dressed inappropriately or just badly, was doing so purposely to, like, give a middle finger to her colleagues. And then she talks about Jim Jordan, the loathsome jerk, who never wears a jacket, you know, like during committee hearings. He shows there with he's always in his shirt sleeves rolled up. And that is because he wants to position himself as a tough fighter type, right? So I understand her point, but God dang, this seems so silly. And she notes and that Fetterman is always very aware of this, the fact that he would have to be wearing this suit. Before he got sworn in, he tweeted, for those of you asking, yes, there will be a Fetterman in shorts today, but it's not me. And if you've seen any of the pictures of the Fetterman family at the swearing in, it's his oldest son who is wearing shorts. And just to finish this off for you, because it annoys me. She goes on to say that Fetterman was never exactly a working man, even though that's the way he dressed. She says, after all, he was a mayor with a master's degree from Harvard, but he dressed like a working man, and it helped humanize him, get him recognized. There it is. Brand. Get him recognized and make a name for himself. And it worked. And it resonated beyond Pennsylvania and into the realm of late night television, where he was a guest even before he won a statewide election. Just putting on a hoodie and shorts and being 6'8", whatever the hell it is. And his bald head and his scary face and his beautiful wife. And he creates a brand. And I guess in some ways that's why we'll be seeing him and Giselle, who they're also focusing on. I actually saw, one of those in and out, what's in, what's out lists for the new year. And do you know what one of the things that was in? Giselle Fetterman's eyebrows. Mm-hmm. Yes, indeedy. She got some eyebrows, I'll tell you that. And they're in. Oh. Anyway, here's the end of the piece. Fetterman managed to make wearing a conservative suit look like a radical move. This is such bull, because there are rules. In order to get on the floor of the Senate, there's a dress code. He has to have a suit and tie on. Okay, so Fetterman managed to make wearing a conservative suit look like a radical move. And they can expect more where this came from, she writes. According to his office, the new suit is one of 3 Mr. Fetterman has purchased, along with 6, count them, ties. So Fetterman's closet is now taking up space in the paper of record. We now know, actually, he now has then 4 suits. No, he's one of 3 purchased. Yes, he has 4 suits and 6 ties. Mm-hmm. And if you think that there are not reporters that will be making sure they keep up on Giselle's eyebrows and his suits and ties, you can rest easy, because the journalists of the nation are on the job. All right. Well, that's it, guys. Week. And we'll see what next week brings. We'll see. God only knows what's going to happen between now and Monday when I next speak to you. I hope you have a enjoyable period. Toodaloo.
Lynn Cullen Live, Monday through Thursday from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. and archived at pghcitypaper.com. The opinions expressed on Lynn Cullen Live are those of the host and do not necessarily reflect the viewpoints of Pittsburgh City Paper or its advertisers.